Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 9:51. Our next case is Mr. John Marshall. Mr. Marshall, would you give us your full name and DOC number?
John Edwin Marshall, 104386.
Mr. Marshall, let me explain our process to you. I'm going to read some information into the record, then we're going to do a parole interview with you. After that interview, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to the board, and then we'll vote. You understand our process?
Yes, sir.
This is a matter of John E. Marshall, DOC number 104386, date of birth January the 6th of 1955. He's an 11th class felony offender. He has a parole, he had a parole eligibility date of May the 29th of 2019. He does not earn good time. He is serving a life sentence for distribution of cocaine, having been convicted and sentenced to 30 years, and then the district attorney filing a habitual offender against him, and he was adjudicated a habitual offender and given a life sentence. Is that pretty accurate, Mr. Marshall?
Correct.
Mr. Marshall, your case was assigned to me, so I'm going to begin our interview process, okay? Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Marshall, how old are you, sir?
68,
And how long have you been in prison on these charges?
15 years.
How much education do you have, Mr. Marshall? How far did you go in school?
Well, I went to Booker T through the 11th grade.
Okay.
And in the course of the time, I was locked up in 79. I got locked up for a misdemeanor. And Southern came down, some people from Southern University came down and gave us checks, those that wanted to participate. And it was an evaluation for to see our grade levels or where we could be placed. And just so happened I was eligible for college, so they enrolled me in Southern University. So I went to Southern 2 years.
Okay.
And got a certificate. I got my associate degree in sales.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your work history. What kind of jobs have you had on the outside?
Since 74, I worked at Levi Strauss as a cloth spreader, a material and non-material. I worked a lot of temp jobs.
Okay.
Linux company doing air systems, super Walmarts, putting in booths at restaurants and casinos. Postal digging. I did a lot of work. I worked at Dothan's doing trampolines, repairing them. And it ain't for one company in the state. So, you know, we did pretty good business here.
Mr. Marshall, I'm looking at your arrest history. You've been arrested over 35 times. A lot of theft charges, a couple of robbery charges, a lot of drug charges. Tell me what all that's about.
Well, at one time I was on drugs.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your drug use. When did you first start using drugs?
In 77.
How old were you? About
23, 22.
Okay, what did you start using?
Preludes. It's a speed.
Why? How did you get started? How'd you get hooked on that? Usually people start on marijuana when they're teenagers, but had you smoked any marijuana before that?
Excuse me?
Had you smoked any marijuana in your teenage years before you got hooked on Preludes?
No. No, I drank a little bit.
All right. So tell me how you got hooked on the drugs at 22.
I came from Texas Penitentiary, and my brother, one of my brothers, my oldest brother, the one that I really wanted to be like, that's what he was doing. So he introduced me to it.
Well, you had a lot of arrests before that, before you started using drugs. I mean, your first arrest was in 1972 for burglary. What was all of that about? Tell me about all of those crimes.
In 72, I did do a burglary at a Radio Shack. And like I say, I wanted to be like my older brother. I didn't have a father. And when I was younger, my oldest brother was one he used to do whatever he did to get the money that he got, and he'd come home and ask me to help him separate the change. And all the pennies and the nickels, he would let me have that. And I was being impressed with it at a young age that I was. I was being impressed with it. And, you know, and like my mother, by her being working at night, she slept in the day a lot. So, and then I'm at school. So she missed out on a lot of things. And I was studying, patting myself after my brothers.
So let's go back to your drug use. At 22, you started using drugs. How often were you using drugs?
When I started doing speed, I was doing it almost every day.
Okay. And were you doing drugs almost every day, every time you were out of prison?
Mostly.
Mostly, okay. Let's talk about this last time you came to prison. That would have been in 2009. Tell me about that.
Okay, before 2009, I had went 4 years without doing any crime.
Okay, so what happened? You got back to selling drugs at that point?
For a while, then I stopped. Then I stopped and started working. I worked at Dover.
Are you a drug addict?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
I don't smoke cigarettes, I don't drink, I don't get high, I don't do any of that.
Well, you were doing it before you came to prison. Were you a drug addict when you were on the outside?
I had stopped.
And how did you stop?
That's something I feel good about. Because when I stopped, I didn't have to go to a clinic or anything like that. I just got tired.
And when did you stop?
In 2004.
Okay. And so from 2004 to 2009, were you just selling drugs?
Pretty much.
So you went from using drugs to selling drugs.
Yeah, for a while. Then I stopped doing that and started working.
Well, 2009, you got arrested for selling drugs.
But they didn't get no drugs from me.
I'm sorry?
They didn't get any drugs from me. They got drugs from a woman, and they
She got it from you.
she used my name.
She got drugs from you.
They didn't get any drugs from me.
Well, the police report indicates that a woman came to you and gave you $20 and you gave her some cocaine and they arrested both of them. So that's not true?
That's what she said.
Well, didn't you go to trial and get convicted?
I went to trial and I was convicted.
So you say none of that happened?
I was convicted of my record.
Why should I vote to let you out? You've got a horrible criminal history. I've looked at, you have a high risk of reoffending. Our records suggest that you have a significant substance abuse issue. What is your plan to stay sober if you're released?
Well, that'd be simple, easy. Like I said, before I came in, I had already quit doing everything. I didn't even smoke a cigarette.
Mr. Marshall, let me say this. It's hard for me to believe you when I'm looking at a police record and you deny having sold these drugs. A jury found you guilty of of the drugs. So, it's hard for me simply to believe that you just quit when all of the evidence supports the fact that you've got a serious drug problem. You say you don't have a problem, you're not a drug addict. So how are you going to stay sober? Have you ever gone to AA meetings? Do you know anything about the 12-step program?
Yes, I do.
What do you know about it?
I have certificates here.
I don't need your certificates. I want to know what's in your head and your heart. What do you know about
Yeah,
that
my
program?
head and my heart is this.
I'm
It's
sorry?
like what's in my head and my heart is this. That like I put a lot of time in these places. I wasted a lot of my life in these places. I have grandchildren I haven't even seen. It's very important to me that I do meet.
I agree with all of those things, Mr. Marshall, but you're asking me to vote to release you early from a life sentence
Yes, I am.
because you're going to go back out and never reoffend again. Yet I'm concerned about a lot of things, especially your substance abuse. You're in prison because you were selling cocaine. You deny that. A jury convicted you. You tell me you've done cocaine. You've done drugs, speed all your life, and you quit on your own. Yet all of the evidence points to the fact that you still have a significant substance abuse problem.
All right.
Tell me a little bit about the fight that you got in last July. Not last month, but last year. What was that about?
My sugar had dropped. I didn't have any understanding. And see, by me being a diabetic, when your sugar drop, it can go so low that like reasoning is something that leaves you, logical thinking and stuff. But it's when an individual kept nitpicking, messing with me, that I snapped. I went off. I'm already under pressure. I done went 5 years without a write-up, trying to maintain so that I can have a parole hearing and come home. But that particular day when this dude kept picking at me, I went off. And I hit him one time. He hit me one time and it was over.
What can you tell us about Mr. Marshall?
Sir, he's talking to me.
Sir?
He's talking to me. Mr. Barabella, I share y'all concerns. He's had a long, extensive criminal history and back and forth. It concerns me. I hope that his age is catching up with him and he's changing his way of thinking by now. He has done some substance abuse programs. He hasn't had any, he's only had one contraband write-up, which was for one pill, his own pill, looks like way back in 2014. He's been trying, he's been doing better. Again, I hope that he continues it.
Thank you, Warden. You have a question?
Yeah, I have two questions for you, Mr. Marshall. One, I see you say that you're gonna receive retirement. What are you gonna receive retirement from, or is that Social Security?
It's retirement and disability. I did a lot of different jobs and I was gonna try for my retirement from that. And when I was on the streets, I was getting disability when I had my triple bypass.
Okay.
By me being a diabetic and
You told Mr. Marabella, that cocaine wasn't yours and the woman just mentioned your name, but the $20 that the police gave her ended up in your pocket. How did it end up in your pocket?
because I gave her 10 for 20. I gave her 2 10s for a $20 bill. We just got to gambling on the sidewalk.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Marshall, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before we vote?
Yes, sir. one reason I know that this is snapping me and I won't be back is because of my health. My kidneys is going out, triple bypass. I have a box on my chest. I had to have surgery to get oxygen to my brain. I can't hardly breathe. And, just have so many health problems when it wouldn't make sense for me to go out there and try to do anything. It wouldn't make no sense at all. And the little time that I think I have left, I would like to spend with my daughter and my grandkids. I'm sorry for the things that I did. I can't take that back. But I do feel sorry for the things I did, not just because of the effect it had on others, but the effect that it had on me. Because I missed a lot by making the wrong choices. See, and with just little time that I have, I could speak to people at juvenile facilities, at church, maybe even at a school or two. But I can't make up for what I did. I can only try to do something better. And that's where I'm at. That's where my head is set. I don't want to do wrong no more.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. I appreciate your comments. Pam, ready to vote?
Mhm.
Mr. Marshall, sometimes it's hard for us to escape our past. You've got a horrible criminal history. You've been arrested over 35 times. You've got your 11th offender. You've got a lot of drug charges. You've got a lot of theft charges. You've got robbery charges. You had a fight just a year ago in prison. You're a high risk. And you've got a serious drug problem that you don't recognize. You think you licked it and you beat it. And you're not being honest about why you're in prison. Look, I believe your sentence was excessive for what you did, but you deny you even did it. So it's hard for me to want to help you when you're not even willing to admit what you did. We know what you did. That lady was given a $20 bill by the police. She gave it to you. You gave her cocaine, and you both got arrested. And a jury convicted you. But you're denying that. And you're also telling me, I don't do drugs anymore. I just think you got a little more work to do. You're working hard. You're 68 years old. I want to help you. I want to give you some relief. But I don't want to just let you go back out there and start this all over again and get thrown right back in prison. So I think you need a little more work. My vote today is to deny. Ms. Wise?
Now, Mr. Marshall, I listened carefully as well. The things that you're trying to convince me that you have down pat in 2022, when you had that fight, you didn't use it. And that's concerning. You have a poor supervision history. All law enforcement is opposed to your release. So do some more reflecting and reapply as soon as you're eligible for a rehearing. Best wishes to you. My vote is deny as well.
I concur. My vote is to deny.
Keep working, Mr. Marshall, and perhaps next time will be it. Get into some substance abuse programs and really understand your disease. Good luck to you, sir.